everybody, how's it going? Red Baron flying at you with a more educational video today. So, we are going to go into a little bit of deck building, and with me today, we have a special guest from the Elestrals community. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, I am TailwindZ, the official composer for the Elestrals Trading Card Game app. I am so excited to be here today with Red Baron. I have asked him to build me a deck based on my favorite archetype in the Pokemon trading card game, that being the old Blastoise Keldeo variant from the Black and White expansion, although it is now the current version of that being Xianpao Baxcalibur. And I am so excited to see this deck. I have not seen anything yet. I have not asked for any information on it yet from you. And I am just so excited to really get into this, especially for everyone at home to learn how to build decks based on their favorite archetypes as well. Maybe from another trading card game, because Elestrals has a lot to offer.
They do.
Before we even get into it, you better hit that subscribe button for Red Baron, because he makes some awesome content. That's why I'm here, because I love his content, and I know you will too.
Appreciate it, man. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and just fly right into it, shall we? Alright, so here we have your deck, and I gotta say, this was a really hard one to build. You really had me build probably the hardest deck to make. You had me build the hardest meta deck you could probably ever make. One, because water is probably considered one of the weakest elements, and Majesea, it is probably the weakest Elestral out of all of them, because its effect you just can't use this effect properly. And for those who are just wondering, Majesea, it's you get a +1 attack for each water enchanted spirit on your field, so it naturally comes in as a 9/14, and water enchanted Elestrals can't be targeted by opponent's Elestral effect. So, really right now, the only two cards in the meta that target are one, Sorlet. They can expend or wind to change the position of your opponent's Elestral, and then also Kinleo, which you can Nexus Fire to destroy a target Elestral. It's just two cards. Other than that, Majesea doesn't really do much of anything. But you originally first reached out to me because you wanted to make a more of a spirit manipulated deck. So
Yes.
in order to do that, we have probably your second boss monster here, Caprigal. When it destroys an Elestral by battle, you can special cast an Elestral with enchantment cost water from your underworld in defense position. Now, this card combos great with Sluggle. Sluggle, when you cast this, you can return up to 3 water from your underworld to your spirit deck. You can special cast this, you can normal cast this, you can even ascend with this, and you'll still get its effect.
Yeah, so then it's like as if you're looping it. So then you can loop all of your spirits, all of your Leviathans from your underworld back to the spirit deck as a constant loop. That's awesome!
Right, and this deck has a lot of ways to get your Sluggle as well. So, we're starting off with Pelquarius. Pelquarius, you normal cast this, you can just search for any water Elestral from your deck. Great card, good for searching. We also have your bread and butter, Foamy. Foamy, when it's destroyed by battle, you can special cast an Elestral with enchantment cost of water from your deck in defense position. Easy to search, easy search, Sluggle search right there. And it not only does that, but it sets you up for a turn 2 Caprigal. You're gonna send straight into it next turn, destroy something, and then get that Sluggle right back from your underworld and do the whole thing all over again.
Oh man, that's so good.
Alright, but this deck is more, that part right there is a bit more a stally part. This deck is mainly a mid-range deck. So next I'm gonna show you how aggressive it can be. So not only do you have the previously mentioned Elestrals, you also have Galaxy, which is gonna be your forerunner when you want to attack. When it's enchanted with the water, all your water Elestrals their stats get swapped. So Galaxy will come in as a 5/2. Mustation comes in as a 6/1, and 6 attack is the strongest attack for a 1 cost Celestial currently.
Oh, that is sick. Because then, especially like even early game, if you decide to start with Galaxy and Mustation, you're able to just take out things easily in the early game. That's so nice.
Right, yeah. And then you also have a draw engine in this deck. You have Aphros. Aphros, you can Nexus up to 2 water, and when you do, you can draw a card for each of those. So what better way to use Aphros than with Poseidon? Poseidon, cast it, you get 3 enchanted waters onto it. And then you Nexus 2 of those to Aphros, you draw 2 cards. And if you have 2 Afroses on the field, you draw 4 cards. It is a great combination. And you can get there easily by using Foamy. Now, if you want to play the deck a little bit more aggressively, you have a single Tadpole. You expend a water, special cast it, and then you can go into either Capricorn for a set 2 cost Ascension, or use the Nexus ability from Poseidon, and you can go into Majesea.
Oh wow! So it's like you can bring out Tadpole, and then bringing out Tadpole, and then getting at least, I think it's 2 spirits on it, and then you can immediately special cast it then into Majesea.
Well, normal ascend, yes.
Normal ascend, yeah.
If it was a special cast, that'd be broken. Then just summon something else after that.
Don't make it happen.
Oh god, that'd be crazy. But to help you with the aggressive side of this deck, we have what is called a Trident Lock. Do you know what that is?
I've heard of it, but not like fully.
So Trident. Yep. So what Trident Lock does, it completely stops your opponent from playing any counter runes, and that is the main meta currently.
Ooh, yeah. Because I've been hearing that counter runes, like, oh, I guess they're down there. In Gorgon's Gaze, Poison Tip Arrow, and Speed of Achilles. I've been hearing a lot about those ones being like the meta, and that you have to play like 3 of them in every single deck.
Right.
And knowing that I have a card in this deck that just basically shuts those off, then that's sick.
Yeah, it's really good. So what happened? What makes it happen is Trident of Poseidon's second effect. So first, you have it gets a +2 attack and cannot be targeted by counter runes. This only really matters towards Gorgon's Gaze. But as long as Poseidon is enchanted on the field, whether you control a Poseidon or your opponent controls a Poseidon, either or is fine, your opponent cannot cast any counter runes whatsoever. They can't stop your attack, they can't stop anything you're doing.
And that's so awesome, because then it becomes a little bit of an anti-meta deck as well.
Correct.
Which is really good right now, because there's, like, everybody's still trying to figure out what the exact meta is. There is a little bit of one right now, with counter runes, but knowing that this deck can at least shut that portion off, it does give it a little bit of a better head-to-head.
Right.
It's nice.
And a good Trident Lock deck can easily become tier 1. But so let's move on to why we have Atlantis. Atlantis is your stadium. I don't think people are running enough stadiums currently. They're very overlooked. They definitely give you that edge that you definitely need, especially in water, where you already have high defensive stats and they just get higher, so your opponent can't get over them. Or if you want to go offensively, your station becomes 7-1 or 7-2, excuse me. And Galaxy becomes of 6-3. It just becomes your threats on the board become increasingly more dangerous by playing this card.
Yeah, because every point counts. Like, I don't know why people aren't playing the stadium cards enough. I know, like, when I tried making decks before, I would always play a stadium, because it's like every point matters.
Right.
And so the fact that people aren't playing it enough is a little odd, but I mean, Atlantis is still a really good card. I'm very glad it's in here.
Yep. And it'll definitely allow you to hit over things that you couldn't before, or just stall with station until you can get the setup you want. And so going into, well, we have this one Ambrosia here. We don't need any more Ambrosias because you're already running 2 Sluggles, and your whole idea about this deck is just to recur the Sluggles as much as you can from the underworld. And as you have noticed, we do not run any Nectar of the Gods, and honestly, you don't need to. You do enough deck thinning and deck searching where using the extra 2 life to draw 2 cards, it's going to be a detriment to you instead of being good.
Yeah.
So moving on to the counter runes, the crux of the deck. We have your normal triple Shield of Achilles. When you attack, you get to bounce your opponent's attacking Elestral. First you pay a single spirit, and then you can pay up to pay a number of spirits equal to the cost of the Elestral to just bounce it back. So normally you'll be paying 2 for this. Same for Poison Tipped Arrow. You'll be normally be paying 2 for this as well. But not only do you destroy the Elestral, it also lowers its attack by 2 for the remainder of the turn. So it's good for stopping people, stopping that aggressive play.
Okay.
Then you have Gorgon's Gaze. This card just does everything. It just says no. There's nothing that this card doesn't do. But I will give you one warning for your deck is when you're running Galaxy, if you attack with Galaxy and your opponent activates Gorgon's Gaze during attack declaration, their stats actually revert back to normal. It'll go from a 5-2 to a 2-5.
Oh, so then I have to keep a watchful eye of it and make sure that I'm counting it correctly, because if they play that Gorgon's Gaze and I don't have Trident of Poseidon out, then I'm in trouble, basically.
Right. They'll more than likely your Galaxy will crash into whatever it's attacking, and it'll just kill itself. And then you have one of the best counter runes in the meta. You have Tsunami. It just ends their battle phase. Just turns all your opponent's Elestrals sideways if they're not water enchanted. This is good for you though, because you're running mono water. So this card, which is run in every meta deck, instantly becomes dead for your opponents. They'll draw a Tsunami and they'll feel really bad because they can't do anything with it.
That's awesome, because then that basically shuts everything off and it gives me a chance to attack. Especially because, like you said, this deck is mostly mono type, which means that it just gives me an easy opening right into the opponent's spirit deck.
Right. And for one last thing before we wrap up here is, do you know about your order of operations in terms of attack increase, defense increase, decrease, and things like that?
Not off the top of my head. So if you can explain it, I would appreciate that.
Right. So first, when you're looking at the order of operations and how attacks and decreases work, so first you start off with setting a value. So saying your attack becomes something. So say you had a future invoke card that says this Elestral's attack becomes 3 for the end phase, until the end phase. That happens first.
Okay.
The second thing that'll happen is normal increase and decrease in stats. Like Trident of Poseidon will increase the attack value of an Elestral by 2. So this will happen second. And what happens last is attack and defense swaps, like Galaxy. It just swaps your stats. So this always happens last. So you have to be careful on who you play your Trident on and how you play it. Because say you equip it onto Galaxy. Galaxy is not going to become a 7-2.
It'll be a 4-5.
Correct. Because first it'll increase the attack to a 4, and then it swaps the attack and defense.
And that's really important to know, because this deck is all about hitting the right numbers, and you don't want to mess up something like that, because then it's too late to take it back. So that's a lot of strategy going into it, but I like that with this kind of deck. That's what I was looking for, with some strategy, being able to really play through the deck as quickly as possible as well. Like, man, you've blown this out of the water. Like, I'm so excited to put this on the TCG app and start playing it.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're excited. This deck has a lot of moving parts, but I feel like it can definitely be a contender.
I hope so. I think it will. Like, you've blown this out of the water. I'm not gonna say I had high expectations, obviously, because you're a top player. But you've blown it out of the water, like you said. That it was a very hard deck for you to make, but just based on the explanation alone, this feels like 1-to-1, like as close as you can for Elestrals, like what exactly I was looking for. And that's amazing that you were able to do that with the limited amount of cards that we have in the base set. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really eager for you to try this deck out. I guess your next match is going to be against Alex. Alex, he's coming for you. He's coming for you, buddy. But with that being said, I appreciate you all coming this far, and I will see you all next video, and I hope you all have a great day and fly high.